This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. He is on a mission to help those struggling with many different challenges, specifically addiction. And he's lived that life. He's turned it around to help others. His story is a true story of perseverance from fear to freedom. As a matter of fact, that is part of his book, From Dumpster to Doctor. And we're going to talk with him today. Dr. Keith Marshall is on the program with us. How are you doing today?
How you doing today? How are you?
I'm well. And before we do anything, got to say congratulations on the award that you just won for your book. Tell us about that, please.
Well, it's a book that's called, it was the International Impact Book Awards in Phoenix, and featured authors who have won in different categories. So my book, although it's a memoir, I won for the most outstanding literary award because there's a stronger emphasis, not just talking about my story. It's a stronger emphasis on the transformation arc, and I feel like I was blessed to see my way out of the mess of my life. Yes, addiction is a big theme in my book, of course, because it was how I learned to mitigate my stressors, never wanting to be addicted. But it's a lot deeper than that. It's really about the human struggle. The idea of my book is to appeal, not just to people, of course, anybody who's addicted, not just to chemicals, but a lifestyle that prevents them from taking responsibility. Of course, the central message of redemption is there, but we're talking about broken homes. We're talking about early childhood trauma, things that literally affect how we think about ourselves as we grow in life. So the subtitle is called Fear to Freedom. And the freedom that I'm talking about in the book isn't how I broke free from addiction, although that's there in the book, but the reality of what's the true thing that I had to break free of or to make right. And that's to break free from the bondage of destructive thinking. And destructive thinking is a very powerful reality in life that sometimes we don't even know that how we view ourselves and our perception of the world can be very, very distorted based on our upbringing, broken home, traumatic experiences, all these things that affect our self-esteem and how we learn to develop trust in self and in the world based on how we were treated or perceived that we were treated. Perception is very powerful.
You use the word fear. You know what? Before I even get into that, I have to ask this question. Did you receive that award for both your books?
Yes, I did for Factors of Transformation. But at the award show, the main award was given to me for From Dumpster to Doctor. Yes, Factors of Transformation also got an award because there are 10 factors that I point out in the book that deal with mind, body, spirit, relationships, work, education, and how our thinking can either progress life or progress us in our life or can disrupt our growth in life. It all starts in what we think and how we think. So it's an intentional process. There's a statement that people say most people don't change, and some reality to that is true because consequences are things that usually force us to want to make changes in our life, whatever those consequences may be.
Now, from fear to freedom, the word fear is in there. Do you feel, Dr. Marshall, that those who are addicted may have a fear of what it may look like on the other side of that, but don't even know it? It's subconscious. Many of us pile on fear pretty much every single day. Now you add these challenges. Do you think fear of things getting better even is a factor?
For sure. Fear of failure and fear of success. Because invariably when we look in the mirror, we know ourselves. And so I may have the desire, let's say if I'm addicted, because I'm not addicted anymore. I may have the desire to actually stop more because the consequences that it's causing me, the pain of the consequences. However, if I know that I haven't committed myself to a full recovery process, only person who knows that would be me, right?
Right.
So, of course, habit formation has already developed in what I do and how I behave being addicted. It's called, habit formation. I developed this habit, right? So let's say now I decide to stop using. It can be very scary to look at what it would be like to have to cope with life differently. More importantly, very scary if I know that I have not really committed intrinsically to recovery. So I know that let's say if I have a problem with cocaine and the cocaine is causing me negative consequences, so now I want to change. That change can look very scary, especially to become successful, because I know that if I haven't really recovered, I know that all I have to do is use and destroy it. So if I'm not ready to recover, my biggest fear is probably success and failure, because I know I'm not being honest with myself. I haven't surrendered. And I think it is subconscious, but it's very powerful. Although it is subconscious, it can be very conscious for a lot of us, because we know if we haven't made the commitment to recover deep down inside, we know that we would be the one that would destroy our efforts to change. We know that because we haven't really made the commitment, we haven't surrendered and we haven't fully let go of our old ideas.
What's your main message to all of this? What do you want people to know?
Redemption. At the end of the day, it's a one word, but redemption has a lot of implications. Redemption it's intentional. I say intentional because it's not going to be uncomfortable. First and foremost, when I look at any mistakes I may have made, when I look at any falls that I've made in life, when I've looked at anything that has not given me the greatest outcome because of my own choices, no matter what, it's still our own choices. I realize that in order to have the process of redemption to be real, I have to be intentional. That's number one, because I'm going to be challenged. There's no question. To make change, I'm going to feel things that are going to be different, things I've never explored, which means I'm going to have to practice courage. Courage before honesty, because I have to have the courage to be uncomfortable. It's impossible not to be uncomfortable if I've been living in a certain way of thinking all my life, which is causing me here. And then I have to be intentional, courageous enough to be honest enough with myself and to break patterns of denial. For example, a person who may have experienced serious trauma in their life, even developed deep resentments and anger, has every reason to feel that. No question, especially as kids. We can become truly victimized. I want the listeners, if anybody listens, to understand that's why counseling and therapy is very important, because trauma is very, very real. Addiction is very real. These things that happen to us to our childhood are very real. Sometimes so egregious that we promise ourselves we'll never forgive a person. We'll never, ever, ever resolve that. But as we become adults, let's look at it. If we continue to be restless, irritable, and discontented with life, who's at fault here? Who can repair that but myself? So the ideal of forgiveness may be something I don't want to do, and I get it. There's some things that may happen to us where we vow never to forgive, and I'm not here to tell anybody to do that. But what I will say is this: what's the opposing piece to this? Stay in that irritability, discontentment, stay in those resentments, which is like cancer. So the ideal of forgiveness, or just having the willingness, may lead us to that place where we can take that traumatic experiences, or those traumatic experiences, put them in true perspective, meaning as we introspect, put them in true perspective. How is it going to help me moving forward in my life if it happened to me in the past? And if it can't help me to move forward, I have to make a decision to sometimes accept the harsh reality that something happened to me. But my willingness, just the willingness to maybe forgive it and put it in perspective, can take me out of that perpetual victimhood. Because the victim mentality is very real. I can't be redeemed. I can't have redemption if I'm a victim.
Do you believe, and I hear this a lot, that, and no judgment and not minimizing anything, that many of us are addicted to suffering.
If we're not addicted to it, I believe that we've developed a habit of the abnormal becoming normal. So something that may not even be good for us, we've done it so much that it becomes normal. But in reality, to look at something different is scary too, because now I got to take responsibility. Yeah, victimhood it can be a comfortable place, because taking responsibility can also look uncomfortable too, because it means I may have to let go of something I don't want to, including a human being that may be not treating me well, right? It may mean I have to do something I've never done. So even looking at something that could better my life, if you will, could still look obscure in the moment. Meaning, I don't know how to approach this, because I've been in this victimization too long. Yeah. So you're right. Yeah. It can be very subconsciously strong to stay stuck in ways of thinking that have had, or ways of coping that, even though they're abnormal, have become normal for me.
It's like, and on the tiny scale of this, you're walking around, you have a pebble in your shoe, and you don't have time to get it. Maybe you're at an amusement park with your family. It's like, I'll just keep going. After a while, you don't even know it's there. But in the beginning, it hurt, but you're just letting it go because you get used to it. It becomes a habit.
And you really haven't let it go. You think you have, but it'll pop up. For example, if I have low self-esteem because I was told as a kid I was not good enough, and it was reaffirmed often, I may develop a poor self-concept, right? Sure. Or when I get into a social situation, I may mask it by what? Being a fake, phony, and a fraud. I don't mean that negatively. I may say what they want me to say, act like I think they want me to act, and do things that may get the approval. I become a strong approval seeker and a people pleaser. Never wanting to harm, but always wanting to protect the emotions that come from the faulty belief that I'm not good enough. Where did I learn that lie from, right? That's how powerful it is. So my social instincts, which meaning I have a desire to connect like anybody else, that's instinctual, but also I have instincts for emotional security. So if I don't feel secure within myself, and then I get into a social setting, the first thing to do is, as a compensatory measure, is to compensate some kind of way. So give a false narrative about myself or something, or pretend that I'm someone and I'm not, because I'm just so afraid of being rejected. That's how powerful and blinding subconscious faulty beliefs are.
Oh, 100%. And I've often heard too that your subconscious, starting in childhood, is always looking for proof to back it up. So I'm not, and I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy enough. Number one thing, it's in all of us, different shapes and ways and form. And as life goes on, I like to use the analogy of a file cabinet. Go old school. The file cabinet, you open up the drawer, you have folders in there. Well, there's the I'm not good enough, worthy enough folder. Your subconscious, starting as a kid, sees something, puts it in there. There's evidence. You're 6. Now you're 6.5, you're 7. Something else presents. Somebody says something to you. Maybe it wasn't even meant for you, but you're a kid. What do you know? So you internalize it. Yep, there's another one subconsciously in the folder. Now you're an adult. Here's another one in the folder. Your file cabinet's full. You got a lot in there.
And then even locked in some places. I like that analogy.
Point.
Because the truth and reality of it all is that we have to go through that file cabinet and start dumping that stuff out, which really, we got to really look at it.
Yeah.
I really like, that's a real powerful analogy. I mean, because that's the truth. But then here's the other truth to that. When we start finding relationships to affirm it. So we don't feel good about ourselves. We start actually looking for people and don't even realize it. We want to be validated, but we continue to pull people in that invalidate us.
And we don't, of course you don't want that. It's not, you're not like, how many times I always hear this, women say, no, nice guys out there. And they do this, they do that. And I always keep finding the same ones. Well, you are picking them, you're finding them and or attracting them for whatever the reason is, energetically even. And to your point, you don't even know you're doing it, but you're validating what's in your file cabinet.
And once you start, let's say, working, that's why I always say mental health, counseling, therapy is essential, because once someone can start to help you decipher through the misguided thinking, or the destructive thinking.
Mm.
The responsibility of really dispelling those beliefs becomes into the power of the person who it is. So what we start doing now is start setting healthy boundaries, not in a pretentious way. We start looking at, okay, first we gotta respect boundaries, right? So we'll start respecting boundaries, meaning, and then we'll start expecting boundaries. And that's what really happens as we start to evolve. We start to respect the fact that, well, we haven't been setting boundaries, but more importantly, have we been giving people the boundaries? Have we been over dominating them emotionally? Have we been overly emotional with them in order to them to validate and feed something in ourselves, which we haven't even given ourselves? So we'll start treating people better when we start treating ourselves better. And we'll start setting boundaries. So you might be in a relationship and there might be a lot of emotional abuse. But if I start getting counseling, getting therapy, getting help, and start realizing that, am I allowing this or teaching this person that it's okay? And then if I'm going to stop, am I going to let them know that I've been doing it too in my own way? And so now I'm going to respect you. I'm going to make amends with you. But now I'm going to set a new standard. I want to respect you, but I also want you to respect me. I'm not going to ask you to be perfect because you may slip up and curse at me again and do this and that. But if you immediately recognize it and apologize, then we can keep growing. And then it gets less and less because we're starting to talk to each other better. Not because I'm saying you need to talk to me better, but I'm also saying I'm going to talk to you too that way. But then now know when to set the boundary if the other person isn't going to do it. That's just kind of an analogy.
Oh, I love it.
Then you start to train the inside again that it's not cool.
You said something I never thought of. Boundaries, important, of course. We should be using them. A lot of times we don't. And there's many different reasons why we don't do that. A lot of what we're talking about here. But I never heard these words said. Expect boundaries. I think you've hit one of the high points in your life where people put boundaries up or just imaginary boundaries for you.
Right.
You know, I've never heard it put that way. Expect boundaries.
So how much do we really know about ourselves?
Right.
Right. That's why the introspect, retrospect, in order to correct idea is important. Because if I'm disturbed, the first thing I need to look at is not what happened outside me. Why am I disturbed on the inside? And then if I retrospect and truly can go back and see where this type of thinking causes. So as you were saying, somebody may say something or do something that has nothing to do with me. Right. We call that transference in a group. Let's say there's 10 people in a group. And then in that group, somebody in that group says something or does something that just rubs you the wrong way. They don't even know you.
Yep.
And you really realize introspective work will help you to look at what you see in them. Something triggered you based on their response, based on maybe their verbiage. It could even be nonverbal. Somebody may remind you of your mom, your dad, your uncle, something that happened to you in life, and their characteristics and their facial expressions may mimic something, and not even realizing that you haven't even worked it out. And so now you don't like this human being and you've never met them. You know nothing about them. This happens a lot in society, everywhere. Something about that person I just don't like. Well, have you talked to them?
Right.
What do you know about them? And just say they've never said anything to you. But let's say there's a mannerism that they have that's totally innocent to them, but it reminds you of dad or mom. And in that connection, yeah. That's how powerful it is.
We could do like 5 podcasts right there.
Right there. Easy.
You know, mother and father. I want to ask you this, Dr. Marshall. Your book, From Dumpster to Doctor, you've told us that you went through some pretty heavy challenges. The dumpster part of it, hiding behind a dumpster because of people around you, running for fear, addicted, no money, all of that. And then becoming a doctor and very successful. Can hitting rock bottom actually become a turning point for redemption?
I don't think you even have to go to rock bottom. I think if you have enough open-mindedness and enough pain has already happened. For me, it was rock bottom. My rock bottom really wasn't just hiding behind a dumpster. It was part of it. My rock bottom was just the mental and spiritual I ran out of gas, meaning I knew when I questioned this creator, I said, like, either free me or kill you. I just knew there was a moment of surrender. So for me, I had to be humbled down. There was enough pain for me that where I wanted to hurt myself and kill myself, but I was even too afraid to do that. So for everybody, the encouragement here is that everybody doesn't have to go to the extreme. If there's enough pain in your life where you're restless, irritable, and discontented with your life, this is a starting point to say, you know what? Let me stop blaming everything outside that's happening to me right now. What's going on in my thinking that I'm continuously disturbed in my life? And what can I do about it? And what it is that I have no power over to control, and start there. So for me, yes, rock bottom. And I think for a lot of people, especially when it comes to addiction to a chemical, because there's people can be addicted to all kinds of things. I think definitely from addiction to a chemical, there has to be some sort of what they call bottom. I don't know if it means you have to lose all your money, but there may be spiritual bottom. There may be just, I think the bottom is determined by the individual. For me, my bottom was very severe. I believe I had to suffer some very, very powerful consequences, negative consequences. And I knew better, but I couldn't do better because I had some good role models around me growing up. It wasn't always bad. My mom was a nurse for 47 years. She put some good things in me, but I still seen a lot of things. So the reality of it is the bottom is determined by, but I can tell you this, we can tag it on this, pain. Pain is the catalyst. How much pain do you need in order for you to want to make a transition and change to reach what they call redemption? Because pain will force you to become intentional, to look for a way out. And then that's when the courage and honesty will have to take place.
I think in music, I've been playing music on the radio literally since I was a kid and still do. Lyrics go like this: emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Redemption song, Bob Marley. That's
powerful. And think about it theoretically and realistically, he's telling people the truth in that song.
Right.
And to get free from here.
Yeah. Mental slavery. I've never heard I've heard that song a million times. Now I'm thinking about it in a different way.
Yeah.
And
he had it right. And I don't know why, but he had it right. The lyric is right.
Right.
I have to be the one to unlock that it's actually a cage that I can put my hand outside, put the key inside and turn it and let myself out. But I become comfortable with the pain. I become comfortable being the victim. So I'll keep the key in my pocket. I'll blame you. And then yet I'm sitting in this bondage that I can truly get out of.
I love that analogy where you're reaching through the bars to open it up for yourself. But It's like we said before, the habit. It's comfortable to stay inside the cage. It's safe in a way, but none but ourselves can free our minds. Unfortunately, we need to do it, of course, with help from people like yourself. How do we connect with you, Dr. Marshall?
Well, people can reach my organization is www.dedicatedtreatment.com, www.dedicatedtreatment.com. And it's a website that's pretty comprehensive of everything, how to get in touch with our organization, even for referral sources, not just so that I'm not the only one that can help people. There are many people that can help people. But if somebody ever called me reaching out for help, they wouldn't get off the phone without getting a resource and service to identify that need. There's no question that would happen no matter what. I don't care where they're calling from.
Thank you for today. Thank you for what you do. And looking at this from a different lens, I mean, the cage thing, reaching out.
Yes.
That's it. Just like it's spot on.
There's a lot of room to put your hand in, through and open, but
there is, but you gotta
get stuck, man.
You get stuck. And congratulations again on the awards for your books.
Thank you. God bless. I will see.
You got it. Thank you so much. By the way, I want to throw in closing here, if you ever have a question, a thought, looking for something, even if you want to keep it anonymous, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.